as Africa is the youngest continent. And indeed, in my country, Uganda, the average age in Uganda is 19 years. And 75% of the people in my country are below the age of 35. Yet, for decades, we've been told that we are being prepared for the future. But we wake up at the age of 35 and we find that we've had the same president for 32 years. And we ask ourselves, how did we get here? It's not that people have not fought, that both men and women have not talked enough, but it's just that the powers that keep these leaders intact, while at the same time they continue to violate and not deliver on the promises of the people, is that the powers are beyond our own borders. And we live in a globalized world. And when you have a president for 32 years who's had an army deployed in over 4 countries in the region, then you have to wonder, is he doing this alone? He is not. So as we look at 60 years, we have to rethink of the ways we are fighting oppression, and that oppression being multifaceted, because our leaders and the political elite are in bed with the capitalist global forces. And that makes the fight much more complicated in our time. I'm reflecting as a storyteller and a journalist and an activist from Uganda, how this fight for for independence for many women has really been a struggle for us, but also we have seen opportunities to go across the border and learn from different African movements. And currently we are watching many women come to the forefront. We have seen yesterday the Rwandan president, who is most of the circles praised for his developing the country, yet he has maintained 2 women whose crime has only been to vie for power in jail. We can no longer really wish away the rights of people of Africa in the name of a developmental state. You cannot disregard people's basic human rights while you continue to utilize the capitalist global power and build your political hegemony. So many of us have united in advocating for freeing of different women political prisoners on the continent. Indeed, the internet has given us a great platform as young people to come together. The African netizenship indeed is being fast-tracked faster than our leaders can give us open borders. Before I came to Ghana, I'm more likely to know over 20 Ghanaians in these spaces simply because of the internet. And we are thankful for countries like Ghana, which have opened their borders and say no to visas for African people. On my way to here, I came from South Africa. Yes, I'm one of the Africans whom you could say has visa privilege because I've traveled a lot. But you will be shocked that to get into South Africa, I would need more than probably 10 days and explaining where my finances are from. Very many requirements that humiliate the African people. And we cannot talk as one until these borders are eliminated. And as young women, this conversation cannot leave us behind. In the movement to unite young people, young African women, to come and speak in unison and challenge the powers that not only socially but politically still keep us out, is really on, and it cannot go back. We have seen in Uganda people like Dr. Stella Nyanzi deploying the power of radical rudeness to challenge the president in power. She has called the president a pair of buttocks, which saw backlash from the regime, and she spent 33 days in jail. But after, she has not held back. As I talk, she has been rearrested. She was rearrested last month, and she's in jail in Uganda for writing a poem dedicated to the president. You might disagree with her words, and many indeed wonder why she chooses her words. But Stella Nyanzi is well within the Ugandan history and well within the Ugandan culture of deploying radical rudeness to disrupt power and speak truth to power. So we continue to call for her release, and as Africans say, we will not stand by and we will not be free unless we have freedom of expression, and that those who speak, their freedom can be guaranteed after they've spoken. We have seen many women come together in South Africa, the total shutdown. Women challenging the lack of policies and action from governments to protect them. Indeed, in South Africa, we have seen women deploy the hashtag Men Are Trash. And I'm here to tell you that this hashtag has been deployed in response to the soaring domestic violence cases in South Africa. South Africa has the highest number of women who are murdered at the hands of their partners. And this hashtag is here to challenge respectability politics, to deploy rude radicalness, to say we shall say men are trash until every woman is safe. And in Uganda, back home, we have been using hashtags like harassment is not love. Believe you me, in 2018, we have to teach men how not to, we have to compel men to say, this is the difference between harassment and expression of love. And we have seen people like Professor Sylvia Tamale at the forefront of forcing this conversation about sexual harassment and sexual violence against women and how it deprives women of developing into their full potential and participation in public life in the continent. To quote Professor Sylvia Tamale, to those people who often say that this is not harassment, it's love, she said that sexual arousal is a phenomenon common to males and females, and dress may be one of the potential practices that titillate the human senses. Nevertheless, issues of sexual arousal and provocation should be distinguished and never be confused with the matters of sexual coercion and abuse. So we have seen many laws come up. In Uganda, we had the anti-pornography law, which was specifically spelling out that women could not show their breasts or the dress beyond their knee. This criminalization of women's bodies continues on the continent. And it's not only stopping at these morality laws. It has really gone to the areas of sexual and reproductive rights. In Kenya, we saw that the government has stopped critical emergency abortion services for women. We know as young women that the continent is leading in the number of women dying due to unsafe abortions. And that abortion is not just it's one of the so many services that women might need at any time in their reproductive cycle to save their life, to save their health, or even plus mental health. But we are continuing to see politics that really undermines the rights of women across the continent. From Kenya, you can go to Magufuli's Tanzania, where a president in a 21st century, a person whom we expect to be Pan-African, telling us that young women cannot access education simply because they happen to be pregnant. These are acts that we must continue to condemn as Africans. We should not wait for the outside world to do that. We have seen in Sudan, a 19-year-old